Hi, I'm Chris with Mulberry Family Farm. Today I'm going to show you how to cut up a chicken. You can save a lot of money cutting up a whole chicken, buying a whole chicken, than cutting it up yourself. So we're going to go through cutting up a whole chicken. It's a pretty easy process, and the lines are pretty well laid out for you, so we'll go ahead and get started with that. The first thing you want to do, get a fresh chicken. We're going to go ahead and cut the thighs and the legs off of the chicken. And the first thing that we do is we cut along between the breast and the thigh. We just put a small slit in the skin, and then we actually pull the chicken apart like that. Okay? And what we're trying to do, there's a bone right here. You want to actually separate the hip bone. Now what we're going to do is we're going to lay the knife off on an angle like this. We're going to go along, and it's an up, down, up process. If you find yourself sawing, it's generally because you are hitting into this bone right here. So what we're going to do is cut right through there and right out. Okay? So we cut that loose. One thing to notice, this piece of meat right here is called the oyster. What we want to do is get our knife as close as we can to that when we cut it through. So I'll repeat the process over here again. We're going to put a slit right next to the breast, between the breast and the leg, and we're going to go ahead and pull it. We let the chicken, the leverage of the chicken actually pull the chicken and hold the leg apart. And then again, we want to try and get as much of this oyster as we can. So we lay the knife at an angle like this, and we come along, and again, it's you get a more here, and you cut along and then back down like that. Okay? If you find yourself struggling with the chicken, generally it's going to be because you're cutting it either into a joint or a bone. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the wing off. Now what I do is I hold my thumb in the chicken's elbow, and then I start down the back. What we're trying to do is keep as much of the breast meat as we can on the breast. If we were to start on the front, we'd take out part of the breast meat. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right down into this joint, and what we're looking for is actually the wing joint right in here. And once we've hit that, we then just come right up beside the wing. Okay? You can see that we've left pretty much all the breast meat there. Going to do the same thing on the other side. We'll take the chicken, hold the chicken by the elbow, and again we come in from the back side, we hit that joint, and once we've hit that joint we just come right back up beside the wing, and then we take the wing off. Okay? Now you know you've done it right when you barely have a little strip of skin here when you took the thighs off. Most of the oyster meat's gone, and this you've left most of the breast in place. The next thing we're going to do is cut from this wing joint, and here's a line, a fat line. You're going to cut right along that fat line. Okay, there's actually a fat line that leads down here and goes like this. So that's what we're going to do next. We're just going to cut right along there and right out the other side, and again right along this fat line. Okay? And then you'll see when you actually pull the breast away from the back, you'll see that this joint flexes. You can put a slit right in that flex joint. Okay? And then when you pull the breast away from the back, it splits right along that, and all you're going to do is cut the skin away. So if you wanted to, you could actually say, okay, I've got my chicken cut up kind of into quarters here, and I can stop there. But what we're going to actually do is we're going to continue on. We're going to next cut the thigh away from the drumstick. And again, there's a fat line right in this between the thigh and the drumstick. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut right along that. Actually, you stay a little bit to the leg side of this joint, and you cut right down through. Okay? See? Nice and easy. If you run into a hard spot, move over a little bit. So again, it cuts right down through. Alright, there's your drumstick and there's your thigh. And here's your oyster meat there. Okay, so now we've got it broken down even more. Some people take the tips of the wings off. We're not going to do that. We're going to leave them alone. The next thing we're going to do, this can be a little bit tricky. What we're going to do is we're going to, you could take a cleaver and chop right down the middle, but usually one piece of the breast is going to have part of this breastplate bone, that center bone on it, and the other one isn't. So when you cook it, it's going to be uneven. What we're going to do is we're going to take this plate bone out. And the way we do that, we turn the breast around so that the point is facing away, and we put a little slit right down through this bone. Now what I do is it should break somewhere right here, so I put a slit there and somewhere right there, and then just lightly score this with my knife. And the idea is when I break it like that, it actually pulls this thin layer away from the bone. If you run your knife down it very deeply, you'll actually score the bone and then you'll split the bone. So we take our thumbnail, we slide it underneath this bone here, and we're pulling this fine skin away. We're going to repeat it over here. And again, we run our finger down. Now what we're going to do is we actually pull this bone out. So we get hold of it, we pull that bone all the way out. And what that's done is now we have where we can cut it right down the center. There's still a wishbone in here right down in the center. But what we're going to do next, we make sure that the skin is down the center because we want to save as much skin as we can. That's where the flavor comes from. We're going to flip this over, and I'm just going to, with my knife, cut right down through. Okay? So I've started cutting that. I flip it over, and again, I can cut right down the center, like that, and then like that. Now all that's really holding this is the bone, because I cut over here, and then I cut on the other side. So what all I have to do now is actually just turn it. And what I've done is I have two identical pieces of breast without a piece of bone running on one side. That's pretty much it. We've completed a cut up chicken, and we're ready to use it in recipes that call for pieces of chicken or put them on the grill.